Hey guys, it's Mo Mustafa here, author, speaker and mindset coach, and in today's video I want to talk to you about the real truth about success and really share with you some insights and maybe take you a little bit behind the scenes about what it takes to achieve success or results, if you like, in our life, results that we have desired to achieve. Now, why is this so important? Why does it matter? Well, very often we will look at other individuals who have created success, maybe the individuals who are sharing stuff on various social media platforms, and it might give us unrealistic expectations in terms of how easy it is to achieve, or maybe even we might misjudge and make things more difficult to achieve than what they really are. Okay, and if we do that, then oftentimes it can actually put us off from trying altogether. So with the right mindset, it can actually inspire us to keep going. And I'm going to be sharing some mindsets in this video that will hopefully inspire you to still pursue your goals, to still pursue your results, but actually with maybe a little bit more of an educated, informed and realistic mindset from the realities of life, if you like. We're coming from that stronger foundation here. Just very quickly, what I wanted to talk about here is the fact that we will oftentimes be exposed to various images and media on the web, and it is quite easy to look at somebody else and then take their word for gospel and think, right, this is exactly how they do it. And then when we try it, we don't get the same outcomes because maybe they're not actually showing us the real process that they're using to get there. And on the flip side, we might see somebody and they may not even share their process, but we look at them and say, right, I could never achieve that. Because we don't actually know the process of achieving that. But either way, what I want to say here is you want to just not let this put you off from going after the things you want. And as we go through this training here, to hopefully give you a little bit better of an understanding as to what it may take in order for you to achieve your goals. So here's the reality, the way I see it. We essentially have two components. We have two things. We have the process and we have the results. Okay. So the process is essentially the steps, if you like, that you need to take in order to create a particular outcome. And then the result is, let's call it the finished product. Okay. So to use a metaphor here, you might see somebody post a picture of a beautiful wedding cake on their social media profile. And they say, this is one I made earlier. And you might look at that and go, how did they create this cake? And you might ask them a question, how long did it take you to make? And they say, well, it took me 3 days. And you think, what? 3 days? Is that it? I can never create something that amazing. But realize that it's not necessarily 3 days that allow them to create that. It is probably more likely to be 3 years of study or 30 years of study combined and focused into a series of steps that produce that result. Okay, there's a great story, I think it was from Picasso, where he was in a cafe and he was drawing on a napkin, and a lady came over and she said, hey, can I buy that from you? And he gave her this outrageous number, several thousands of dollars or whatever it was, right? But the point is, as the story goes, at least, she was like, what? I saw you draw that. It only took you a few minutes or something. And he was like, well, yes, but you haven't seen the amount of years that it took for me to get this good. Again, I'm paraphrasing. But the point being, in order to pull off a certain outcome, whilst we can pull it off very quickly, it may take several years to get that good. If you see somebody, a martial artist, walk up and look at a stack of concrete blocks, and they hit through the top and they break these 10 blocks of concrete or whatever, it might take them several years of practice to get there. And give or take, depending on the individual, you might have one person who's naturally powerful and strong, and it might take them less years to be able to get that same result than somebody who's not as powerful to start off with, right? Or maybe doesn't have the same technique. But the point is that there's going to be a process that's very often involved in creating a result. I'm just going to give you a personal example. Here are two pictures of myself. On the left-hand side was essentially my point A, starting point, if you like, is when I was out of shape. And then I went through a process that allowed me to get to point B. Naturally, this was a professional photo shoot, so I am looking my best, if you like, in that photo. Point being is I still went through an incredible transformation, but if all you see is just the picture in point B, if you like, by itself. If you don't know who I am and you don't know my background and anything about me, you might be tempted to think, wow, he must just look like that all day long, every day, and he's just born that and he's got great genetics. When in reality, my genetics are what they are, but the point is I started off in a different state and I had to go through quite a lengthy process of study and application and trial and error and various different things to get there. I had some injuries along the way as well. There's just so many different things I had to try out and tweak and test, and I did some Olympic lifting and martial arts and bodybuilding type training, and I had to make lots of changes to my exercise and nutrition and educate myself in order for me to be able to create that particular result. Okay, so if you imagine you have on the left hand side you have point A, the starting point, and then point B you have your result. What I want to really encourage you to think about here is that you can model this for yourself. Whatever you're trying to do in life, realize that we all are at point A in something. For example, I might be able to speak English, but there might be certain languages, there are many languages that I do not speak. And I might set myself at point B, a result of being able to speak that language fluently. Say Russian, there you go. Say I want to learn Russian. I might want to set myself a goal of saying I want to be able to write 1,000-word article in Russian in a year from now. Then I have to go and get a process in order to get there. I might have to pick up some books, maybe attend some night school or classes, listen to some audios, and really essentially fully immerse myself in it. I might get myself a coach, a role model, somebody who lives and breathes that particular topic. I might start hanging out with a new group of people and picking their brain. And through the process of total immersion, chances are I'm going to be getting better and better at the ability to speak that particular language. And you are going to be able to do that yourself as well, because essentially in our brain we have things called mirror neurons, and we are able to mirror and match our environment. It's the same way children pick up things like accents, right? They don't just pick up the language, they pick up the accents, the mannerisms from those in their peer group. So just to show you a little bit behind the scenes here of the process, this is just a small snapshot. And if you follow me online on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, you'll see me posting pictures here. Some of them they look very boring and monotonous. And the reality is the process can be quite boring. Everyone likes the look of a nice brand new book on a coffee table, right? But the process could be somebody stuck in an office, just typing away at a typewriter day in and day out, looking completely boring as they're doing that. But when they launch their book, they might be on stage and they're being interviewed and stuff, and it looks more exciting. So just understand that in creating any result, that you will have to go through a process to get there. So those images there are taken over a course of time. Me training, on holiday in the UK, in the Far East, training at my gym, lifting weights, doing circuits, yoga, all sorts of different things that were part of my personal process in order to be able to create and maintain certain results. And realizing that also one thing with results is whilst we may capture them with a photograph or something, that is just a temporary state. It looks like it's locked in, but it's not a permanent state, right? Like somebody might get in competition state to go on stage and share all their best competition pose photos on social media, but realize that there was a ton of stuff that they had to do leading up to that event in order to get like that. And chances are immediately after the event, they're probably not looking like that now. They might still be in great shape, but not the same shape, okay? They just focus in all their energies and resources towards that one outcome, and then it immediately sort of will drop off. But realize that there's a process behind that, and there's many other variables and causes that had to be in place. Is the phrase pick your poison, right? Pick the thing that you want to do and get good at, and realize there's going to be processes that you may need to go through in order to create that particular result. I just want to share some other life examples. If you see somebody who's posting a photo of their latest degree, maybe they've got a bachelor's or a master's, a PhD or whatever, understand that leading up to that, they probably spent several years studying to get that particular result. That's just the reality of it. They probably went through university, and that is essentially a process they would need to go through to get that outcome. Okay. Same as if you see somebody who's launched a brand new book, that they have spent a lot of time practicing that skill in order to create that outcome as well. I'm a big fan of Stephen King, and he has a writing process, and his process may change over time. Naturally, would have possibly evolved over the years as tools evolve and stuff. But in the writing process, the more he does that, the better he's going to become. And just understand that anytime you're trying to create a result, that you have to go through a process of developing, of learning, of taking in knowledge, of taking in theory, and also developing the actual physical skills that go along with that theory, such as learning to drive a car. And then once you're proficient, you're able to then perform these things almost unconsciously through the fact that you have acquired the skill, and then you can produce the result quite easily because you get more life experience, right? And then you can take that experience as you go into the next stage. Same as if I was to write another book. I know various writing techniques, I know research techniques, I know how to create various types of covers and various things like pricing strategies and all these other things, which is taking me years to learn, and I've read various books and courses and stuff, and more importantly, I've taken action on those things, and some of it didn't work and some of it did. And that's not to say that the courses didn't work. I may have not applied it correctly to get that result. But either way, I've created my own process, and I can now use that process. If I wanted to, I could teach that process to somebody else. And again, they may have to tweak and adjust that for themselves. Same as if you see a great movie in the cinemas and, you know, it's an amazing, outstanding film, realize that in order to make that movie, there was probably a huge budget that was brought to the table behind the scenes, and it might have taken several years to make the movie, and they had to bring in some of the best actors who also brought several years of experience to the table. All that years of effort comes down to 90 minutes to 2 hours maybe, or 3 hours of movie to make that. And then again, that might be edited down into a 2-minute trailer, and you see the best parts again of the movie itself, and you're just blown away by this incredible trailer. But in order to create that incredible trailer, there had to be enormous process to make that. And the processes, understand, processes change. Times change. We're in a constantly evolving world, and the process to create one result in the past is now easier. For example, getting in shape now is probably easier than it's ever been because of things like apps that you can use to track your calories, because of barcodes, because of food delivery services that can just bring all the best foods to your door, because of the internet. You can get training videos on demand. It's become easier because of the tools, but it's also maybe made us a little bit lazier and less likely to actually take action because we then become dependent on the tools. So just wanted to share those ideas with you here and actually say to you, look, if you have a goal that you want to aspire to, look to other people, maybe look for role models and stuff, but just understand, like, the internet is a funny place. There's so much smoke and mirrors going on. Use it for inspiration, but don't use it as your source of information. Maybe go and pick up a book and do your research. Maybe find a book that's had lots of reviews, and even reviews, again, these days, reviews get made up and whatever and stuff. So just have a bit of wisdom and realize that, look, it's just the nature of the world we live in. And we can just go out, find a book that works for you, and just realize that, look, you have to go through the work of really saying, right, I'm going to have to go through this process of researching, getting the information I need, and verifying the information through action. You'll never really know until you give it a go, right? So you have to just put it to the test and try it out and see if it works for yourself. If it works, great. And then you have something, you can put that into your library, your mental library, your physical library, and say, right, this is something that I know works, but understand that also it works contextually as well, right? This is going a little bit deeper now. And when I work with coaching clients and stuff, we go more into these things, but I'm going to keep it quite short now. But understand within a context that a process may not work as effectively as within another context, but we have to be responsible for that and realize that for ourselves, okay? Just very quickly to wrap up here, we need to have a process. You can create one or simply follow a process that somebody else has created. Following one that already works is often easier, so maybe study books, maybe check out some book reviews first and see, does it actually make some sense? And then maybe you want to go off and get yourself an audiobook. Listen to the audiobook first and see if the bigger picture makes sense as well, and then go out and buy yourself the full book altogether, and then take some time to read the entire book if you want to do it that way. That might be a process you use to study. And then remember to tweak the process too. So if you are looking for some great books, feel free to check out my list here over at motivatedmuscle.com. I've basically cherry picked some of my favorite books that I recommend to individuals especially when they're first starting off, to not overwhelm them, because I have studied essentially hundreds of books over the years, and instead of them being overwhelmed as to where to start, keep it simple. These are really good books. They're proven, they work. Again, some of them are classics. You need to adjust them a little bit into a modern context or into your own context, the time, place you're operating in, but the principles are still valid. Very good. So check them out over at motivatedmuscle.com/12 books. I hope that's helpful to you. If you want to get in touch about coaching as well, there's a coaching button you can get in touch, or if you go to momastafer.com, that's momastafer.com, and there's a coaching link there as well, and you can check out some more sort of business related coaching stuff as well. So hope you enjoyed this video. My name is Mo Mastafer, author, speaker and coach. I'm wishing you a great future, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.